Hey friends, welcome back to another podcast. Today I'm thrilled to have a special guest with us. His name is Piyush. He's a talented technical solutions developer at Google, Canada. Many of you might already be familiar with him from his incredible YouTube channel, Tech Tutorials with Piyush, where he consistently shares valuable content on DevOps and Cloud. I discovered Piyush on LinkedIn and I was truly impressed by his expertise and passion to educate. Thanks a lot, Piyush, for joining us today. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, Abdur, for having me on this podcast. I was following your channel for quite a long time, and even I am impressed with the knowledge and experience and skills that you share among all the students and for the professionals. So it's a pleasure talking to you in person, and thank you for having me in this podcast.
Thanks a lot, Piyush. That's so kind of you. So, I have a lot of questions actually. So,
Sure. Yeah.
we can definitely start with a brief introduction about yourself. And can you also share a bit about your background and journey into the world of DevOps and cloud?
Sure. Yeah. Definitely. So, hello everyone. My name is Piyush. I am working with Google, as Abdur mentioned. I'm working as a technical solution developer. It's a cloud support role with Google Canada, and my primary specialization is GKE, which is Google Kubernetes Engine, and I work on other DevOps tools and services like Cloud Deploy, Cloud Build, monitoring, logging, alerting, and all those. Um, my previous experience, I have around 12 years of experience in IT industry, and my previous experience is also into cloud and DevOps. But I started my career with production support role with Accenture Pune. After that, I transitioned from one role to another, and finally, I'm working with Google Cloud. So yeah, this is a brief introduction, and we can continue with the questions.
Sure, sure. Yeah, that's actually really inspiring. You were working previously in India and then you transitioned all the way to a new country, Canada, and you're excelling here as well. That's really great. So, when did you actually move to Canada? And did you face any
Mhm.
challenges when seeking job opportunities once you shifted countries from India to Canada?
So I moved here around 6 years back in 2017. I came as a permanent resident, so I had to quit my existing job that I was working with in
Mhm.
India, and I came here basically as an unemployed professional. I had experience, but I was unemployed. So I was looking for a job, basically any job that could help me pay my bills, that could help me survive in a new country,
Mm.
because when you come from India, you have a limited saving in your bank account, and that too, I have arranged it from a few places. I borrowed some from my dad, from
Right.
some from my friends, and so on. And when you see that savings getting depleted day by day, you get worried. So
Right.
yeah, I was in that boat. So I was aiming for DevOps role, but then I had to secure a job to pay my bills, to manage my expenses. So I went ahead and I was trying for any job in the IT role. So I got my first job as a production support role with Citibank. So I was fortunate enough, I got the job in like 17 to 18 days after I landed
Nice.
here. Usually, like, it could take from few days to months, depending upon the time that you have arrived, or the market condition at that time, and your knowledge, skill, and experience. There are like a lot of factors, but as I
Right.
said, like, I was fortunate enough that I could get it in just a few days. So after that, while I was working there, I started working towards my main goal, which is getting a job into DevOps. So
Right.
I gave myself 1 year while I was working. So I prepared everything from scratch. Like, I did a couple of Udemy courses on Jenkins. I made sure that my knowledge and my basics are strong enough before I go ahead in the market and started applying for the job.
Right.
So that I did, and then finally I got a job as a DevOps consultant. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So you really, spent your time doing the homework or basically like
Yeah.
self-learning while you were on your first job here in Canada, and which
Yeah.
basically helped you get a really good job at Google.
Yep. No, that was not my job at Google. It was like
Oh,
like as I said, it was in the beginning. So
hmm,
that was my job with CIBC Bank Canada. I
okay,
worked there for like 6 months or so. Then I got promoted as a DevOps tech lead in the same
right,
team. Then I worked there for around 2.5 to 3 years in the same role. And then I got another job with Bank of Montreal. It was through Cognizant as a cloud engineer.
right,
I worked there for roughly 5 to 6 months, and then I got this opportunity with Google.
nice,
So yeah,
nice,
it was not directly to
directly,
the Google. It like I had to go to few places. I had to switch few roles. So these like every role I was working on different tool or different set of technologies. So that helped me get into like Google.
right, right, right. So you were able to learn a wide range of tools and
Yeah.
technologies while working at so many different companies.
Yeah, so
That's
because
great.
I believe in upskilling yourself, and I believe in continuous learning. So
Right,
even though I was working with AWS in the beginning, I started working with Azure. I started working with Kubernetes, Terraform, Azure DevOps. There were a lot of other things, and then when I got into Google, then I'm working with Google Cloud. So
right,
now I have experience of all three clouds. So this is,
nice,
and
nice.
even then, like even now, I'm still doing certification in Azure, in AWS, and in GCP, so that I don't I don't forget the skills that I have acquired by doing it hard way. So I
Right.
still try to keep myself updated with other clouds as well, even though I'm not working on those. So that's what I believe in.
Yeah, that's inspiring. That's inspiring. Thanks a lot, Piyush. So, considering the current job market,
Mhm.
how would you assess the demand for cloud and DevOps roles in Canada?
It's market is currently slow at the moment, but it'll slowly pick the pace because cloud and DevOps, these roles are are emerging. These roles are there is a lot of popularity that have gained in the past few years, if you could see.
Right.
So things will change soon, but even though I'm not looking for any job, even though I'm not active on any of the job portal, even though I'm sometimes I get a few emails from the recruiters like for the open roles in the market. So yes, there are roles. It's limited to a certain skill level or certain um certain specialization, but
Right.
even though companies are still hiring, but this hiring freeze, because I worked with a couple of Canadian banks as well, and so it's like a FinOps sector. I have worked with a product-based company as well. So I have seen like there is usually a quiet period in most of the companies, usually banks,
Mhm.
which ranges from a couple of months to few months. So once that freeze is it's removed, then they
Right.
start hiring again. So yeah, it's just a matter of time, I would say.
Right, right. Yeah. As you mentioned, actually the skill level is something that can actually keep rising as
Yep.
Getting into a field like cloud or DevOps usually require, it's like there is a skill barrier to it first.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah,
have to learn a
because
lot of tools, right?
yeah, exactly. So you see, when I was if we talk about 6 years back, when I was looking for my first job into DevOps, like I had some prior experience in DevOps, but let's say in Canada, it was my first job. So at that time, the requirement was mostly around DevOps tools like CI/CD processes, Jenkins, or any other CI/CD tool, and AWS or GCP or Azure preferred
Right,
to
right.
good to have. It
Mhm.
was not preferred to have, or it was not a must-have requirement.
Right.
But then slowly, like fast forward a couple of years, it changed to AWS or GCP or Azure must have, and now it is AWS or GCP or Azure, like either of the clouds. Not either of the clouds. It's just like at least two of the clouds, or
Right.
sometimes. So people are asking the multi-cloud skills nowadays, because
Oh.
we are evolving. Technology is
Yeah.
evolving at a rapid pace. So that is why it's really crucial to keep ourselves up to date with the market, to keep upgrading ourselves, upskilling ourselves, and there is no other way to
Yeah, yeah.
survive in the market.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. So, since we're already talking about the skills,
Mhm.
so in your opinion, what are the most critical skills and qualities required to excel in fields like DevOps and cloud roles today?
Mhm. Okay, so what I think is the one that I've just mentioned, like eagerness to learn and this habit of upskilling ourselves. That's really crucial because every month or every few days there is a new tool that emerges into the market and take
Right,
over other tools. The tools or technologies that is relevant today, it could be obsolete in next few years or so, and I have seen that happened already. So it is
right,
really crucial to keep ourselves up to date with the market standards, with what market is currently hiring for. So
right.
that's one thing. Another one is your troubleshooting skills. So it
Yes,
doesn't matter whether it's a cloud related role or a DevOps related role. It's into code development or it's into support or even customer facing role. Troubleshooting is one of the crucial skill that sometimes it doesn't comes by reading or learning anything.
mm,
It only comes by doing the hands on.
yes,
So when
yes,
you practice it, when you do the hands on projects, then only you will get to know the challenges that you are facing, and then only you will acquire that skill to solve those issues.
yes,
So that troubleshooting skill, it comes only with doing the hands on.
yeah.
Right?
That's
um, the other skill that I would say is you know um, your soft skill. So sometimes, like I have seen this happen a lot of time. The company that I was working with previously, there were a lot of folks that were reluctant to learn anything new or to you know adapt the change.
right.
So when it happens, the company keep using the old technology, the legacy tools and technologies, and there is very little scope of improvement and for the evolution. And
Right.
that is one of the basic principle of DevOps. You keep this as a continuous process.
Mm,
You improve yourself continuously. You work on any tool or technology, and try to improve it over the time, and you move away from the legacy tools and technologies, and you adapt new tools and technologies that are coming in the market. So
yes.
that's one of the basic principle, and it is really crucial to have that mindset. This is not something that someone would teach you. It is a mindset that you should have if you want to gain some success in this field, right?
Right, right. Yeah.
So these were like the non-technical skills that one should have, like except troubleshooting.
Hmm.
The technical skills, I would say, you should be familiar with all the building blocks of a DevOps lifecycle, like continuous integration. So you should excel in at least one tool, I would say. If you are
Right.
proficient in one tool, then you can try to move into other tools as well. So let's say for continuous integration, go with Jenkins. If
Mm,
you are proficient with that, go with Azure DevOps. Then infrastructure as a code, go with Terraform because it's the market leader, and
mm,
it's multi-cloud. It has this multi-cloud capabilities.
right.
So go with that. Then Docker and Kubernetes, it is must to have nowadays.
Yep.
Git and GitHub. Then your Argo CD, because
Right.
it's really go hand in hand with the Kubernetes CI/CD part, just the CD part,
Yeah.
and GitOps concepts and everything. Then continuous alerting, monitoring, and logging. So we have tools such as Elk Stack, Prometheus, Grafana, Splunk, all those. So any of
Right.
those, like go with Elk or and Prometheus, Grafana, because these are market standards again. And I guess I have covered most of the thing. And on top of that, at least one cloud. If you are proficient in one cloud, feel free to learn other clouds as well. It will help you. Like
Right.
when I started doing this multi-cloud learning, in the beginning, I was getting confused because of the terminologies are different in all of the clouds. But then once you start working on it, once you start doing the hands-on, you will get familiar with it, and it's really a good learning experience, I would say.
Right.
So yeah, I guess these all things would come really handy. And other than that, these things will come when it comes to interview part, right? But before that, you have to have your resume selected for the interview. So for that, I would say only two things. First is certifications, other is hands-on projects. Certification, it's not a mandatory thing, but it will give you that extra edge, and the hands-on project, it will give you that real-time experience, so that the hiring manager or the recruiter would know that yes, this guy knows what he's talking about, because he has already worked on these projects. And you should have the artifacts ready, like your GitHub profile, or any blogging platform, or if you create videos, anything would suffice. It just you would have some artifacts ready if they ask for it. Right. So I guess these are the things that have worked for me and that have worked for many other individuals. So this is what I would suggest.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Piyush. That was such a comprehensive guide. I'm sure the audience would love it. For recent graduates or individuals with limited experience, what advice would you offer to those searching for jobs in the cloud computing or DevOps domains?
Yeah, I guess the things that I have just mentioned, those things, make sure you are skill ready, you acquire all those skills, and then you do at least one associate level certification in either of the clouds, like whichever cloud is your preferred cloud.
Right.
And you do hands-on project. That is also really important.
Right.
So yes, these things will help your resume shine in the market. These things will help you get that extra edge in the market, I would say. And once you get the interview calls, then it's all up to what have you learned so far, what challenges that you have faced, how you have troubleshooted it, and all those things.
Also, would you care to talk briefly about the importance of hands-on learning in this field, the cloud or DevOps field?
Yeah. Okay, sure. So when you learn something, let's say you are learning AWS cloud, you are working on certain services, you have learned how VPC works, how security groups works, right? So you prepared for that. You prepared for the certification learning path, or you prepared from the white papers, or whatever sources you have used. Then you go into an interview and you were expecting that they would ask what is VPC or what is security group, how you would configure that. But instead, most of the times, they would ask what challenges have you faced when you configured the VPC for a multi-account AWS organization. So in that case, your learning might not help, because you have not learned everything, right? You have you have learned a limited, because you have followed a learning path. So you might have some knowledge about it, but you have not had the opportunity to implement it on your own. So you don't know what challenges you would have faced. Right. So those type of questions you would only be able to answer if you have done the hands-on. Plus, it will give you that confidence. It will give you that that knowledge to answer the question. Let's say there are several questions that would be asked in the interview, and what we generally do beforehand, before going to the interview, we just look for top 10 interview questions, or 100 interview questions for AWS, something like that. But if you would have implemented the hands-on projects, there could be 50 questions at least from each project that you have implemented, and you don't have to Google for it, because you did that by yourself. So you know each and every step that you have performed. You might not remember all the steps in the correct order, but you know the basics of it, that if someone would ask how to do this, you would be able to explain that, because you have done that by yourself. So that's what I would say. Like implementing projects is really important, and by just learning or by just gaining the certification, it might not help you much. So it's like they complement each other. Certification and hands-on learning, they just complete each other, and they go hand in hand together.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thanks a lot, Piyush. That was a beautiful answer. So, working at Google is a dream for many. Could you shed some light on your journey of joining Google and provide some insights into the application process?
Sure. Yeah. So what I did, like I would just share some light on how I got that opportunity. So
Right,
before, like when I was working with CIBC, I was applying actively for the DevOps consultant and AWS and DevOps related roles with Amazon Canada, like AWS Canada.
right,
I got many times I got into the interview panel. Many times I got rejected. Around 6 to 7 times I got rejected in those 3 years, and I was just obsessed of getting into Amazon at that time. Google
right,
was way above my dream. There is a dream company, and then there is a company for which you cannot even dream because you think it is out of your league, right? So it
right,
was it was that thing for me. So for me, it was just somehow I get into AWS, and that was the dream for me. Because and it started because I got the interview call, so I thought maybe I have at least something, because they are they are reaching out to me for the interview, right? So but every time there was something missing, either technical rounds or behavioral rounds, something I mess up something, or sometimes I don't even know what went wrong, and I was rejected every time, right? So but I was continuously trying, even after all the failures. So then I thought, like, I would take a break. I would not apply to AWS now. What
right,
I will do is I will give myself 1 year. I'll work on my skills. So whatever have been asked in all those interviews, plus all other interviews that I was rejected from, I
mhm,
created one document with all the questions, all the topics, whatever I could remember out of it.
right,
And I started preparing one by one. I give myself 1 year, because it was not just like I was preparing for the questions, but I was preparing for the whole topic, like uh, Kubernetes or Terraform. It
right,
was like I laid down a learning path for myself. So I was just going through it, and I was doing hands-on project. I was doing certification. I was doing everything that I could do from my side. As I said, I gave myself 1 year, and in that time, uh, you know, um, there were a lot of times the question was asked, like it was not the exact question, but it was around the lines like, "What innovation have you done?" or "What things have you done that you are proud of?" or
right.
anything.
Behavioral questions,
Yeah, so
basically. Yeah.
anything that you have done
Mhm,
that not many people do. So
right,
these type of question, and I never had any answer for that, because I never did any innovation. I never did anything extraordinary, or I never did anything that I could be proud of. So I thought a lot about it, and I thought maybe I could do something. I am not a good developer. I cannot develop a project because I know my capabilities, right? So I cannot develop a good website or an application, but what I could do is I could maybe help others. I could help what I know. I could share that knowledge and experience with others, and that
right,
is something worth that I could be proud of, and
right,
something that not many people would do, and around those lines. So keeping that in mind, and I started this YouTube channel so that I could share my learning and experience with others, and make the education in this domain free of cost. Because at that time, and even today, there are not a lot of content creator in this niche. Like
right,
there are, if you do a YouTube search on DSA or competitive programming or application development, there are like thousands, and there are countless number of content
yes,
creators.
yes,
But for Cloud and DevOps, there are very limited. So I thought maybe I could I could bring that change. I could help empowering students and professionals within Cloud and DevOps.
right,
So I started this, and I was doing that, and I was active on LinkedIn as well. I was blogging as well, and I was sharing all my learnings on LinkedIn. And then one day, out of the blue, a Google recruiter reached out to me saying that there is this position with Google Cloud Canada if you are interested. And I was really afraid because I never had data structure knowledge, a lot of coding experience.
Right.
That's really not my area of expertise. So I told him frankly, like, this is what it is. If you have anything related to cloud and DevOps, I could certainly consider applying for it, but other than that, my hands are really tied. So he told me this opportunity, and it does require the code troubleshooting, but it does not have that to write you code, or it does not have a data structure and algorithm round. So I was little relieved but scared at the same time.
Right.
And then one thing happened after that, like one thing led to another, and then there were like 5 interview rounds on a day. It was like 45 minutes of round, and there was 10 minutes break between each of the rounds. And and it was all over in a day. And then there was one more informal discussion with the hiring manager after a couple of months, and then finally I got the offer.
That's great.
Great. Yeah, that's how it happened.
Oh, actually, there's so much to learn from your answer. If I can just like reiterate, so you talked about perseverance, basically like trying again and again in Amazon. Then you realized what your shortcomings were. You started working on those. You became more organized. You listed out your weaknesses and you started working on them. You started to basically fix what you felt was wrong in you, and then eventually you even chose out basically a way to distinguish yourself in the market, which ultimately led you to get sort of like a lead from Google, which eventually turned out to be a full-time role. So that's amazing. So it's something to learn for everyone.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad it worked out for me, and I'm glad that I'm able to share my knowledge and experience with everyone.
Yes. So, given that you went for a DevOps related position, like what skills were you tested on during the application process on a
no,
broad
this is
level?
this is not a DevOps related. I'm working on DevOps services, but it's not it's not the DevOps kind of role. It's basically the cloud engineer kind of role.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I could provide you the interview rounds. There were I'm not really I don't really recall the correct sequence of it, but the rounds were almost the same that I'm about to explain. Right. So there was one code troubleshooting round in which a code snippet was given in the preferred programming language of my choice, and I had to dry run the code. I had to troubleshoot the code and basically read it out line by line, like what this line is doing, what this is doing, and if there is any error in the code, and I have to find it out. So that was one round. There was one round about troubleshooting. So they gave me a use case and they were asking me follow-up questions, and I have to basically provide them answer based on what they have provided, or I could ask follow-up questions. Like, let's say this is not the exact question, but let's say, for example, how do I, like, let's say a customer has reported an issue that their application is running slow. How would you troubleshoot it? So they were expecting me to ask questions first. Like I could ask anything, like, let's say, where is this application hosted, or if they are getting any error, what's the latency like, or if they have done any recent change in the application deployment, and all those things, right? So based on that, they were providing me some answer, and based on that, I could ask more follow-up questions. So it was a 40-45 minutes long round with just one use case and numerous follow-up questions. So that was that. There was one leadership and Googliness round. So Google has some leadership principles, and based on that, they ask behavioral and hypothetical questions. So behavioral questions like, tell me a time when this happened and how did you reacted to it. And hypothetical questions like, let's assume you are a CTO of a company and this happens in front of you, like what do you do? Right. So these type of questions, so a mix of those comes under leadership and googliness round. So these are 3 rounds. Then there were a couple of technical rounds with questions around Linux administration, CI/CD, DevOps, and basically what I have shown in my resume, all those things.
Right.
So 2 technical rounds, and then I guess there was one more round which I'm not able to recall, but it was around the same lines. So nothing, as I said, like nothing data structure algorithm, because this role is not a development role. So data structure algorithm is not required, and not just this role. There are a lot of other roles as well. Like there is technical account manager, there is cloud consultant, solution architect. Right. There are numerous roles which does not require you to have data structure or even programming, hardcore programming experience.
Right.
So these were the round, and then finally there is an informal discussion with the hiring manager. So it's your chance to ask the questions from your hiring manager, like if you have anything like about the team, about the work, roles and responsibilities, anything that you could that you want to know about Google or in your team in particular. So you could ask the question, and it does not have any impact on the interview process, or it was not part of the interview. It was just for you, right? So these were all the interview rounds that we had.
Thanks a lot, Piyush. That was really helpful. So how does the work experience at Google compared to some of your previous professional experiences at other organizations?
So I have worked with around, let's say, 5 companies before Google, and the work culture, the work experience, everything, this is exceptional at this moment. I'm not saying other companies have I had any bad experience so far. I have always gotten amazing mentors, amazing managers, and fantastic team members. This particular era in Google, it's like I'm really enjoying it, because we have a lot of amazing folks that are ready to help you out even without asking the help. People are helping proactively and without asking anything in return. And everything is so transparent. The work culture is amazing, and we have been given so much work flexibility. And so I don't really find any reason to hate working here. So it's been an amazing journey so far.
And we finally come to the last question. Looking ahead, what are some of the future trends or technologies you see shaping the future of cloud and DevOps?
I think like AI and ML is all over the place. So LLMs and generative AI. So it's been Google has shifted all its I'm not just talking about Google, but overall in the IT industry there has been a recent trend. And you have already been seeing like every company is working towards AI, generative AI, and training their language models. And so that would be something to look forward in the future, like in the near future. It's not really far. And people have moved from on-premises infrastructure to either hybrid infrastructure or private cloud or multi-cloud, right? And then hybrid cloud and multi-cloud is also one of the important thing to look for. Like if you have experience working with multiple clouds, it will always give you some extra edge in the market that you are looking for. So those capabilities, it's rare nowadays. It's not that rare, but it is comparatively there are not that many expertise in the market with multi-cloud capabilities. But in the near future it will be really common because this is what future demands. And other than that, like as we have already seen, like people are also moving away from virtual machines to container-based and serverless computing technologies.
Right.
So, Kubernetes and tools that revolves around Kubernetes also plays important role, like Argo CD, GitOps, serverless functions and everything function as a service. These things will
Yes.
be really look forward in the future. And I would say, whatever you are doing, just make sure you keep yourself up to date to the market trends and keep upskilling yourself, because if you are not upskilling yourself, there is someone somewhere out there who is doing that, and
Right.
that person will take away your job. So please don't let that happen.
Always be hungry.
Yeah.
So, with this question, we have finally come to the end of this podcast. To wrap it up, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you and learning from your experiences, Piyush. For our viewers, I highly recommend checking out Piyush's YouTube channel, Tech Tutorials with Piyush, for exceptional content on Cloud and DevOps. Thank you once again, Piyush, for joining us today. It's been an enlightening conversation, and I wish you continued success in your career.
Thank you so much, Abdur. It was a pleasure talking to you. And, we'll keep in touch and
For sure.
keep having these conversations. And, and good luck with what you are doing. And it's really amazing to see you growing. And, I wish you all the best for everything.
Thanks a lot, Piyush.